This is the first of 2 parts for Michael Clay Thompson Language Arts Level 2. I realized after filming all of my downshots and discussing the books that my little microphone wasn't turned on. So if the audio does get shaky here in the middle, I apologize for that up front. Welcome back to Making Everyday Magic. My name is Shanna. If you are new here, we are a homeschooling family of 4. We are halfway through our 9th year of homeschooling, and today we are going to talk about Michael Clay Thompson Language Arts Level 2, the 6th level that we have used. Guys, before we go any further, please scroll down, hit the big red subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. As always, you can find me right on down in the comments or over on Instagram at Making Everyday Magic. This is one part of a 2-part series on Michael Clay Thompson Level 2, which is the town level. If you want to know more specifics about how to order, packaging, discussing gifted and talentedness, cost, where to order, a look at the website, things like that, that is not going to be this video. This video is going to be a deep dive into the actual pieces of this language arts program. I will link right up top. I have a very recent video discussing level 2, kind of more overview. And I will also be sure at some point in this video, up in the corner, will be a link to my Michael Clay Thompson playlist. If you want to look at any of the other levels we've used, as I mentioned, we have used 6 levels. So Poodle, the introductory level, level 1, the island level, level 2, town level, level 3. I don't remember what level 3 is called. Voyage level, level 4, classic literature, and now with my oldest, level 5, the Magic Lens level, level 1. So that is my experience, my proficiency with using this program. If you want to discuss about usage, all of those things, I will include graphic on how we're using this level specifically. But if you want to talk about why I do this, the video on how I really bleepered this up when I first started, and that will explain how we got to now. Okay, so if you have any of those questions, happy to answer them, but they're already answered in another video. Okay, so this video is going to be, I was trying to decide how to break up all of the books and subjects because it does, with the exception of spelling, it does cover all of language arts and also not learning to read. The premise is that you learn to read and then you read to learn, and we are in the read to learn series. If you want to know which level to start with, again, I do discuss that in other videos, but basically, Poodle is introductory. If you want to learn how to write a sentence, level 1. If you want to learn how to write a paragraph, level 2. If you want to learn how to write an essay, level 3, and then you start putting it all together. So that can help you gauge kind of where to go, because they all are listed as kind of like a little bit of a range. So if you need more information on that, they can totally help you, or you can kind of follow those little bit of rule of thumb, little guidance there. Okay, so this video is going to be a look into grammar and vocabulary. Why grammar and vocabulary? Because they are the 2 biggest pillars of the Michael Clay Thompson Language Arts program. The other video that you will see will be poetry, literature, and writing. Okay, so those will be over there. This will be here. But without any further ado, let's jump right in. This is the first of 2 videos for Michael Clay Thompson Level 2, which is the town level. This video will cover, if you want general overviews of Michael Clay Thompson, I've got that. I will link it up in the corner. This is a deep dive into about half of the program, okay? So in this video, I am going to cover grammar, ongoing grammar practice, vocabulary. The video right before or right after this one will be writing, poetics, and literature. This video is only going to cover a portion of the program because they are so incredibly in-depth and intense. But I don't feel like every book needs its dedicated video. So I tried to give it a good, solid balance. So this video again, grammar, practice, vocabulary, okay? So I am going to start with grammar, with the vocabulary for Michael Clay Thompson Level 2, because I utilize it as a standalone. If you want to know how I use the program as far as timing and things like that, I'm going to insert right here a graphic. I will also have that graphic at the end of the video again, okay? So if you need that, we'll circle back. Now, I'm not going to talk about our timing and things like that because I made the graphic and I have a different video that does that. This is in more of an in-depth dive in what is happening, okay? So for Caesar's English, your learner will get 2 books because they're giant. And you will get 1 book, which covers both books. This is the instruction manual. You have the option to purchase flashcards that go along with this level. Caesar's English 1, Caesar's English 2. They both have flashcard packets, which we love and our students have loved. So there are like 150 words and stems in here. They're awesome. They come in this nice envelope and I like them, okay? This is something that I have added, which is her writing down her vocabulary words in an effort to help study them. Okay, a little bit of handwriting, a little bit of study, and we found a book that she liked, so that was very motivating. This is the same thing that is in the back of the instructor manual. So if you will only ever have 1 child, you can just use the tests that are in the back of the instructor manual with the answer key. However, I am reusing this because I've circled through. And what that means is that there is a QR code and a numerical code in the front of the book. In the front of the book, there's a QR code, a download, and a code. And when you put that in, it gives you materials in PDF format that you can print. And that is where these tests come from. I printed them all at once and I keep them in this really awesome Jurassic Park folder. Okay. So that is where I keep these. And we just pull them out when we're ready for the next one. And then I use the answer key from the back of the book. Okay. So Michael Clay Thompson's language arts program focuses heavily on vocabulary and advanced vocabulary. I like that so much of their program does involve a theme of Greek and Latin sources because that's kind of where the STEM words come from. And so it is important to do that. The instructor manual is very long. It talks about all the different ways that you can use this book. It talks about the importance of skipping what doesn't serve you. And that is something that is very awesome. Absolutely awesome. Michael Clay Thompson believes that there are many different ways to get from point A to point B, and he doesn't expect you to take every path, but the one that works for you and serves you well. Caesar's English for the student is in color. We opted for the color version, which I personally love. We've got it broken down here a little bit more. Now, every lesson is like this, okay? Every lesson has the same offerings, okay? There are 20 lessons, which we break up into 1 a week, okay? So 20 lessons, and there are 5 to 10 words per lesson, okay? Very, very easy. And it starts with stems, explaining where they are, how to pronounce them, moves into nonfiction words from those stems. So there's that association, okay? And then we have Caesar's analogies, which is so funny because my youngest absolutely loves analogies, but she would rather do anything besides a word search, which is something I would prefer, my big kid would prefer. It's got an advanced word, which they're not expected to know, but cycles back to those stems, okay? So advanced words, it talks about a writer who used that word. Again, she's not doing the word searches, that is not for her. Spanish, so that you can see how those stems create kind of that commonality, which is really awesome. A Roman fact, a math problem in Roman numerals. Phrases, prepositional phrases, a little bit of explanation here, which coincides with where they are in their grammar study. Okay? And then these phrases, and you can analyze your sentences, which I don't have her do in her language arts because we're doing one every day. Again, color, there's usually a little poem or kind of like a fictional writing for Michael Clay Thompson. And then there is a paragraph exercise because we've moved into writing paragraphs. Again, we do not do this. We're doing the paragraph writing in our other book. There's a review for your quiz, cumulative. It always goes all the way up to now. And then there's usually a really fun fact about architecture, which is kind of great. So there's a lot of information on columns and buildings and cement and concrete and arches and aqueducts. And that theme is consistent through the entire program, which I personally love. So this is Caesar's English, level 1 for Michael Clay Thompson, level 2, the town level. Vocabulary is important. Vocabulary is very, very, very important. I like that the words used in this book are words featured in their literature. I like that the writers highlighted in this book are the writers from their literature. Michael Clay Thompson's program all goes hand in hand. Now, I will show you Practice Town in one moment. I forgot to hunt down and grab the student version, but I will explain how it is the same and the different. But let's start with Grammar Town. Now, Grammar Town is where you learn your grammar. And yes, Michael Clay Thompson cycles back through the exact same grammar principles every single year, but they do it with greater complexity. So there have been many times this year where I am reading a chapter with my 4th grader and reading a chapter with my 8th grader, and they're literally going over the same thing, just in more in depth for my 8th grader. The pages, as you progress, start to look different. The type is smaller. There's more information on a page. Now, I'm going to show you, again, there's so much information in here. It's colored. I like the little breakout for more information. They will define a word. I like the drawings that help you understand how grammar goes together. I like for level analysis. I really and truly enjoy this language arts program alongside my children. Now, Grammar Town, okay? It's bright, it's colorful. This is following the story of a duck who is in the city and is learning about parts of a paragraph. Now, why are we learning about parts of a paragraph? Level 1 covers parts of a sentence. Level 2 is about a paragraph. Level 3 is about essay writing, okay? So we are on level 2. So we've moved on to understanding paragraphs, okay? But Grammar Town just focuses on bits of sentence. So we understand, actually, let me highlight this over here first. So it is important to know that Michael Clay Thompson wants you to start with reading your grammar book, okay? So in Michael Clay Thompson, in your student's book, every one of these lines is blank, okay? Now, you have a sentence. The entire program is operated by looking at this sentence, and the first thing that you're going to do, the first level of sentence analysis, is the parts of speech, and he goes back over this every single year. The second level is parts of the sentence. So, subject, predicate, things like that. Direct object, what kind of verb it is, those things that are very important. Level 3 is phrases. Prepositional phrases tend to be the only ones that you learn in level 1. Level 2, she has learned about gerund phrases and participle phrases. Now, level 4 is clauses. Now, these don't get very complicated for a couple more levels, but I can tell you that my 8th grader is really kind of going through it. Now, there's any additional information that you could need down here. In both the student and the instructor has more, but the 4-level sentence analysis is kind of the crux of the Michael Clay Thompson Language Arts program, and it is what sets it apart, makes it special, and in my opinion, makes it better. So you will go through and you will learn all of these things. Now, the way that I have timed this for ourselves is that every part of speech got its own week as far as a lesson, because there's not really kind of good ways to break this up. So we did like introduction, week 1, nouns, week 2, verbs, week 3. And that is how we did this all the way to parts of a sentence. Now, once I got to parts of a sentence, we did subject and then predicate, okay? Now, again, you can go through this as fast or as slow as you want, but what happens once you have finished Grammar Town, because there are exercises in this book, okay? There are places for your kids to work on every level as you get there in this book. You make your own story, you identify nouns, you do lots of fun things in this book. So until this book is done, you do not pick up Practice Town. Once you are finished with Practice Town, again, I do have a graphic that explains how we use this, but as far as grammar goes, once you finish Grammar Town, you then move into your practice. And what we do, 1 4-level sentence analysis a day. That's it. That is all we do for grammar. Keeps it fresh, keeps it in their brain, and keeps it going. This is truly where Michael Clay Thompson sets itself apart. I like that these sentences are sentences that are referenced by famous literary authors. Those authors are in the vocabulary, they're in the writing, they're in the poetry, and they're in the grammar. This is a truly amazing program. I hope that this has given you a little bit more insight into how we do this. I do read. So if there are read alouds, unless my kids want to read it, I read it aloud to them and they follow along. We discuss absolutely everything that happens. My kids will do their practice time on their own. They have a question. I often am encouraging them to think about the way the word is used, which I feel like is highlighted so much better through Michael Clay Thompson than it ever was for my own education. It's understanding kind of the beauty and the good of the word. I like that there's so much available, but that there is no expectation to do it all because, well, I genuinely think it leads to a much, much better quality education.
Okay, so this is my graphic that I've inserted into my other Michael Clay Thompson Level 2 reviews, videos, deep dives, the whole shebang, and it just explains how I use it. I'm inserting it again here, and I'm going to put this little snippet into both of this 2-part series deep dive of Michael Clay Thompson Level 2, which is the town level. But basically, you start with Grammar Town at the beginning of the year and Caesar's English at the beginning of the year. And from Grammar Town, once we've completed that, we go into 1 practice sentence a day, Practice Town, for 4 days a week, because that's how we school. And then we will also move into the writing portion, which is Paragraph Town, and reading 1 chapter or doing 2 lessons weekly. Caesar's English is standalone. I'm pretty flexible with how we use it. We don't do every activity. We just do what makes sense to us and what suits us well. And it is pretty easy. It is pretty easy to use. And we have found great success using it this way. Now, starting at the start of the 2nd semester, we will do poetry, but by then we are kind of slowing down on Paragraph Town. We've definitely finished grammar, and it just seems like a natural point to add poetics into the 2nd semester. And then, as you know, the 3 literature readers we read at leisure. So that is what works for us with that. Now, I did go ahead and make a little bit more of a detailed plan for how I use it, a little bit deeper explanation, and that is because it was requested. And I'm not going to go any further than this. I'm not going to do like a spreadsheet or anything like that because I'm halfway through the 2nd time using this and I've never used it, so I'm not going to make it now. Okay, so my Michael Clay Thompson Level 2 use plan, again, this is how we have found success. They do offer a recommended guide of use. I didn't care for it. It didn't work for us. And so I just want to show this, not what you should do, but just to highlight how adaptable it is, how easy it is to tweak to what is going to work for you. Now, I do break it up into chapters, but it's sometimes a lesson, sometimes something else. I don't do like page number to page number, but I hope it makes sense once you see these visuals. For grammar, my kids are mostly familiar with grammar. They've had it several levels now. Each time back through, it goes a little deeper. Gets a little bit more meaty, okay? So Grammar Town book has 5 parts. There's a long intro, and then there's 4 levels of sentence analysis. And so this will take 12 weeks or less. How I use it, we read aloud. My daughter will complete the activities alone, and then we will discuss those activities after. Level 1, each part of speech is 1 week. So it's not actually broken up into chapters in that manner, but that is how I did it. So each part of speech is 1 week. And then it takes 8 weeks. Part 1, practice sentences, she will finish the following week. part 2, parts of sentence in 1 week. We will read it over 4 days. And then the part 2 practice sentences, she will finish the following week. Part 3, we did the phrases in 1 week with the day breaks kind of by types of phrases. And she will do the part 3 sentences finishing the following week. Part 4 is the clauses. And again, we read this chapter in 1 week, and we will move straight into practice sentences after that, not the practice sentences in the grammar book. We will move right into Practice Town. Now, grammar practice is 1 sentence per day after we've completed Grammar Town. Okay, so I don't stress completion. That's it. We just do 4 of them a week. We get there or we don't get there, but we don't start this until 4 weeks or until 12 weeks in. Now, vocabulary words. There are 20 lessons. 1 lesson will be STEM words, and then the next lesson is classic words based on those stems. So we do 1 lesson per week for 20 weeks, and then we will follow that up with the final exam, so it will take 21 weeks. We do not do every activity, just what we find valuable, which is interesting because my daughters actually prefer the different activities in them. So like one will love a word search, one would rather do anything but a word search. So on Monday, we will read the words. We will read the analogies, the Spanish, the facts, the history, the poems, the column info at the end of the chapter, and she will write her words in her journal. So we essentially read everything on Monday. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, she can choose 1 activity of her choice to complete each day. On Thursday, she will do her lesson test, and it is cumulative. We only school 4 days a week, so there's nothing for her on Friday. And every week, she studies and she practices the physical flashcards, which we purchased in addition to the package, as well as on the Quizlet app. On the Quizlet app available on her tablet, somebody has already gone through the work of completing and adding every single set of virtual flashcards. It's already there. It's available to you. It's free. It's amazing. Okay, so the writing portion of this level is called Paragraph Town, and it is where your learner is going to learn paragraphs. The book has 6 chapters. We read 1 chapter a week, and this is what we did after finishing Grammar Town. And then it is followed by 20 writing lessons, okay? So for 6 weeks, we just read the chapter. After 6 weeks, there are 20 lessons from the back of the book, and the lesson involves reading and writing paragraphs. So we started with 2 lessons per week and then dropped down to 1 so that she doesn't finish too soon. For example, on Monday, we would read the lesson, and on Tuesday, she would do the writing. On Wednesday, we would read another lesson, and on Thursday, she would do the writing. Again, we do not school on Friday. So this is how it worked for us. Now, poetry. The poetry book for this level is called Building Poems. It has 6 chapters. We would read 1 chapter per week, finishing with the end assessment for the 7th week. Again, we don't start this until the 2nd semester of our school year. Read the chapter aloud together over 3 days, and the student completes any poetry lab or activity alone by the end of the week. Literature. Every level has 3 literature selections, a small, medium, and a large. 3 books for the year. I don't recall how many chapters are in them, and I don't give a timetable for completing this. At her age, we read them together and discuss. I've never once used the instructor guide for the literatures in any level that we have ever used, but I do prefer to buy their versions of the books for reasons that I'm sure I've already told you in this video. And I will usually read the selections once we get the packages in, starting at early summer. That way I'm just kind of ahead of the game. And then we can discuss them as we read them together. Again, this is not intended to tell you how to do it. This is simply to tell you how we do it and that we have found success adapting the program. I want you just to know that regardless of the fact that it is like 15 books and looks very intimidating, or that they tell you how to use it a specific way, that you are free to do what you want because you paid for it and you should adapt it. It is a wonderful program. And I want to encourage you to find the way that you're going to find success instead of just doing what you're told if it's not working for you.
Guys, I hope that you found any of this helpful, entertaining, or informative. If you did, please scroll down, hit the big red subscribe button, turn on that bell for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. As always, you can find me down in the comments or over on Instagram. I will answer questions. I will guide you in any way that I can. Don't forget that I have a full playlist for Michael Clay Thompson, all things here on this channel. And don't forget to check out the other part of this deep dive into Michael Clay Thompson Language Arts Level 2. Bye, guys.